Waha! Welcome! You have reached the DweeBros podcast where we talk video games, video game news, and the games that we play.
Happy Halloween!
Happy
Halloween!
Happy
Halloween!
Halloween.
My name is DweeBo. I am your plumber for the evening, or the morning, or the midday, wherever you can watch it anytime.
Wherever you're at, whenever you're listening.
YouTube's
we can plumb your pipes.
Yep. Here we come. So I'm DweeBo. This is our special Halloween podcast. Let's go down the line with our costumes. I am the famous plumber. Hashtag or hash / wedding guy.
Mario.
Mario.
Yeah,
Mario.
I am the Mario from Mario Odyssey.
I don't remember Mario wearing that.
In the new one, he gets nuts.
Oh,
Spoilers!
wow, this is
Spoilers!
a spoiler. Blur this out.
Spoilers!
Blur it out. He's a walking
It's
spoiler.
an amiibo. Is it amiibo spoiler?
I guess it is. I didn't know Bowser had a white suit.
I can't even play the game now.
I'm triggered.
So I am a spoiler.
Man. I am Nacho Libre from the greatest film from 2006.
They made it a Game Boy game.
Is that a good flick? I've never seen that.
It has very little dialogue and a lot of nipple twisting.
Okay.
Yeah. It's your average Jack Black movie.
Okay.
They made it a game too for like Game Boy or GameCube.
I cannot believe that.
So we're all basically video game stuff.
I am hungover Crash Bandicoot.
Does he still dance or is it?
No, he just
can
woke
only
up
do
from a long night of
He
dancing.
twists one time and falls over.
So,
Yeah.
So happy Halloween from all of us
Woohoo!
here on the DweeBros podcast. You know what? Hopefully you're in an outfit yourself.
Do you have any candy for them?
No, I have life advice.
Oh,
Our tricks, we have no tricks.
yeah.
We only have treats in the form of game news.
Game news.
Our first treat is a Kit Kat of, here, and I'm going to throw it towards the camera and you guys just catch it when it comes.
Make sure you grab it.
Super Mario Odyssey came out.
And you should have it.
And you have it now.
Not the game.
But the
yeah.
Kit Kat.
The fake Kit Kat.
The fake, no, truth news.
It's not fake news. It's true.
Super Mario Odyssey.
It's fun. You think I've played it?
I've
become it.
It has engulfed your life.
You must really enjoy the game, considering you got a white suit.
It ate my life up.
Do you play a game like that?
I feel like I can't even talk about this game seriously.
Hold on, please tell me when you do a review of that game and you do like you're playing it, reviewing it, please wear this suit.
Yeah, I have to.
Yeah.
I think I should go home and do that right now. Yeah, it's funny to even talk about this game wearing this. It's like I can't be unbiased. Actually, you gotta hear me better.
You shaved!
Oh my god.
You just shaved.
This is the next amiibo. He doesn't have a mustache.
He just shaved, guys. Clean shaved wedding Mario.
New amiibo. That's the hardest one to get. It's supposed to be Best Buy.
It's like $5.
So I really am laughing about reviewing the game dressed as this. I'm so biased. I like it a lot.
Yeah, this is where you come from an unbiased opinion.
Surprised. So it has been 7 years since the last main line.
Mm-hmm.
You can skip over Super Mario 3D World. Loved that game, but that was more like co-op. They tried some crazy
Weird
things with that. It was kind of a spin-off kind of thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it, but Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 were so good. The main complaint most people said was, where can it go from here? Like, we've already reached peak Mario. Well, they did it again with Super Mario Odyssey. I love this game.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is, to a degree, some people were comparing it to like a Zelda, the Breath of the Wild for Mario. And it is. It is kind of a reimagining in some ways of some of the stuff they do. Some of the stuff you're doing in this game is like, I'm freaking playing this in a Mario game. What am I... It's crazy. It's nonsense, some of the stuff you're doing. It almost takes... let me know what you think. It takes some stuff, I feel like, from the Paper Mario series in the sense of goofiness.
Yes, and that's why I think, like... Because I don't know if we're ever going to get another Paper Mario or what they're working on. If it's not going to be like a sticker game now. But, it's just, it's. I think the word reimagine, the vision of Mario is probably the best way to put it in terms of like, not even like basic gameplay. They just kind of toss a lot of stuff at you and It's working. I mean, I'm in love with this game, and haven't put it down since I picked it up. So I'm very happy. I think the best part about it is that the graphics, that imagine Galaxy in HD.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be the best game there is, but...
It looks great. There's even stuff that I've never seen in a Mario game, which is like really good, like lighting through trees and certain parts.
It just looks
and I'm
so
I've never seen this in a Mario game. This is weird. This is cool.
Is it kind of like where for a couple of years ago the big thing was the Unreal Engine 4? Here's what Mario would look like in HD. Here's what Zelda would look like. And it kind of looks like maybe you're kind of getting that.
We're finally getting the HD Mario.
And there's so much detail shoved into this game. Like there was stuff I was noticing. Like I came up and there was like fire. And I kind of ran towards it. And I turned the camera around and laughed because Mario turns around and his face is like with ash. Like he's got burnt a little bit and like fricked up a little bit.
So can I ask a couple questions? Yeah. I am curious, how does it control? Like, does it control well? A big thing for me with Mario games is I like the full moveset that there was in 64, Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
And over the games, they kind of got rid of like the triple jump or like the sideways jump and stuff. Does it have like a full move set in this game?
The triple jump is still there, and the backwards jump, and the jump forward. But they added something to the jump forward. I don't know if you noticed this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so
maybe I did.
And you'll find this out when you play.
Yeah.
Because I know he's still working on it. He's going to get to it. He's just a lot of games. But we used to be able to jump forward, and a lot of speedrunners use that to quickly get to one area. Now, when you jump forward, Mario does a barrel roll.
Oh,
He starts rolling.
That's cool.
But you don't have to do it. You can keep jumping forward. So, cool. The whole original 64 moveset is there. The only thing I've had to give it something and not even like a bad remark, but like you kind of like change something like you did with Brawl. Is that remember when people slipped in Brawl?
Yeah.
You don't slip with Mario, but he's a lot more loose. His controls a lot
slippery.
Yeah.
But I've always felt that in all the Mario games, he's a little bit slippery.
See, I don't know. I didn't feel that. I don't know. Maybe I didn't think. I don't know. It's just more noticeable now. Like I'm trying to make a very precise jump, and I'm slipping.
Yeah. My second question is, and obviously you don't want to get into full details, but the Cappy stuff. I think that looks so much fun. Mm-hmm. Do they make good on the premise as far as you can throw this hat on so many things?
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
They go into wacky stuff with that.
Yeah.
Like they take it to its farthest extreme.
Oh, awesome! That's what I was hoping they would do.
In certain stuff, like, I don't want to spoil it, but there is a moment where I was just like, I can't believe I'm playing a Mario game on this. It's been my favorite moment so far, and it just was. This game also, along with Breath of the Wild, brought back like that feeling of exploration in those old NES games and SNES games where you'd be like, what the frick? I didn't know you could jump on the blocks and run away and find the level warp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff from the old Mario games. That stuff is back and then some. Like you're doing stuff you're like, whoa, what the... If I do that, it does do that. Oh my gosh. And you're like freaking out because you're discovering... And I'm just having a really... the same level of like Breath of the Wild of like, wow, this is really...
That's awesome.
Fun. So graphics look great. Music. I just got to some place. I think you're right behind me.
Yeah.
But you're about to get to it where I had to stop playing. I just was like, had to take in the music for just a second because I was like, this is incredible like music. It's been awesome. So music's been incredible too.
Yeah, that's
something.
That's another thing is like the whole entire sound behind the game, and that's what gave Breath of the Wild such a bigger score than what I gave it because you guys know what I kind of ended up thinking about in the end. But in the end, Nintendo's games, the way the soundtracks are almost always phenomenal. Yeah. They really care about that a lot.
I would say everything is also just tuned to perfection. Like I even was like, this is so little and no one else would do this in the game industry. I went to the edge of a level. So where you could fall off of it. Because, like, what you do is you go level to level. It's like Super Mario 64. Like, you have these big, like, main levels and whatever. And there's stuff in them to do. I went to the edge of this level, and, like, it was in a sand place or whatever. And on the sand, it sounded like your footsteps sounded some way. And I got to the very edge of that, like, the very corners, and it sounded different when I ran. That, like, stuck with me for some reason. Because I was like, no one else would freaking change it.
But they took the time to change
like, perfection. So,
wow.
Yeah, this game is so fun. The challenges are fun. It's like Super Mario 64 meets Super Mario Galaxy because it has you go to these main levels, but then instead of like having like 10 stars per level that you have to get, and then even when you get them, it kicks you back out of the level and you have to go back in.
Yeah.
This will keep you in the level, sometimes it will morph the level. There's new characters or new NPCs
Oh,
that or
wow.
whatever. When you get a main,
It builds upon itself.
They're called moons in this game versus the stars in the other one.
Almost like how Ukulele did it.
Yeah,
that's actually
I
funny.
will say I played this and some of the music on one level or two levels, I was like, this sounds like a Banjo-Kazooie thing. And also there's stuff you can collect in each level that are unique to each level, and that reminded me of old N64 platformers too, where it's like they're collectible. But very incredible
Props
game.
to Nintendo.
But it's fun just doing little tiny stuff like here, like, oh, that gets you a moon, and oh, look under this rock, there's one. Like it's that, but there's like so much more.
It made me think about how, and this is why I think Nintendo's franchises are considered like the best franchises over like, hey, you have Mario, Zelda, then Halo, Master Chief.
Yeah, Nintendo has a richer set of IPs than anyone else, including Sony.
And I think a big reason why is we're not seeing, Mario games are not being stacked at 1 to 2 years. This has been 7 years.
Yeah, they take their time on them.
And this is what we get.
On the mainline titles.
Yeah, and this is what we get. And that's why I think it makes it so much more like, just man, like this is great.
It's an event when one of these games drops.
Yeah,
and I really am excited for us to get to our end of the year podcast to talk about just the year the Switch has had, because there's still more to come.
Yeah.
But even if you just isolate it to Zelda, the Zelda we got this year, and the Mario we're getting this year dropping in the same year,
that was enough.
That's enough to sell the console.
That's insanity. So
Odyssey, we'll see how it keeps going. We'll probably talk about it a little bit more here in the future.
Do you want to jump to South Park?
Okay, so out of this whole group,
another children's game.
If you have a kid that's about 8 years old and he walks up and says, "Hey mom, hey dad, I want to play a game called South Park," buy it for them immediately.
Yep.
They will learn so much and they will become richer in culture because of playing it.
Yeah,
and they may fart more. This game, South Park: The Fractured Butthole came out, and I picked it up and I didn't put it down. And what was the best part about it was I played the Stick of Truth beforehand, and those who didn't play Stick of Truth, it was kind of a parody about the South Park crew in the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
And it was kind of like, hey, you're a new kid that moved into town, and it became its own episode. And it's literally animated, and the gameplay is like you're in an episode. And so it just immediately makes you feel very involved. But it was short. Stick of Truth was really short, about 9 to 10 hours. You can get through it. Very simplistic RPG.
Very basic, like turn-based,
yes.
right? Like,
it was turn-based. Imagine your typical
magic and swords, and you
didn't really change. Paper Mario type of RPG. I mean, that's what's crazy about it. Is you have a very limited amount of movesets. You have buddies you can switch out.
Yeah.
South Park: The Fractured Butthole completely changed the whole standpoint.
I was shocked when I saw you playing it, and I said, whoa, they changed everything about this.
So when you get initiated in a fight, which a lot of things, this is based around the combat, as much as an exploration RPG, you have combat in it, you're given a grid that you can walk upon, and you can level your characters up to either be a character who can move a lot, a character that can take a lot more health, a character who can cause more damage but is slower, and it actually added some really cool RPG moments into this game, making it, like, way better than what it should have been.
It was more like a Final Fantasy Tactics, like top-down grid view.
And and it was just it was clever, very, very raunchy.
Did you beat it?
Yes.
You beat it?
22 hours, and I beat it. Loved every minute of it. Just very raunchy. That's the only thing I'd have to say.
Would you say the fan service level, like if you're a casual fan of South Park, is this for you? If you're a mega fan, is this for you? If you've never watched South Park?
If you never watched South Park, you probably won't like it.
Gotcha.
I can tell you that right now. If you've watched some South Park and you think the humor is funny, you'll like it. I think that's how good of it is. It's just a good game in general. But then on top of that, with the humor of South Park added to it, and the exploration base, like the fact that you can explore all of South Park.
Yeah, that's the most appealing thing to me, I think, is going around all the houses.
The things that they added.
I don't watch South Park, but I think of it in the sense of the TV shows I watch. And I go, like, if I could explore that, that's a no-brainer. So if you're a fan, get it. And I ain't even played it, and I know.
Yeah.
Is it pretty freeform? Like,
it's all...
Like, from the get-go? Like, you can travel around the whole town?
No, they add blocks where there's blocks of lava, which you can just work your way around on the map. But you can't just cross immediately into.
Okay.
But as you level up, you unlock a special fart power buddy.
Okay,
Dude,
great.
it's all games all based
Great,
around
a
fart.
fart power, buddy.
Dude,
I was looking for that.
And I'll tell you right now, like, when they say the words fractured butthole, it involves a lot of fart jokes, man. It's the lowest form of comedy, and it just works.
That's great.
So, yeah, it was a great game. I really enjoyed it, and if you're a mega fan, I'm sure you'll be sitting here commenting how much you loved it, too. So, just let me know what you guys think. I was very happy with it. Very good game.
Cool.
So, but turning back onto you, because you've been playing this game, and
I want to talk about that later.
You sure?
Because that didn't come out this month.
Okay.
We're just talking about new releases.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll hold that surprise then. Well, it's not a surprise. I talked about it last time.
But it's still funny. It's still really funny.
But I want to get into spooky mood.
Spooky
and we're
mood.
going to get evil.
So, a game dropped this month called Evil Within 2. You guys play those games? You played the first one? You played any
I know
of
about the
these?
Evil Within 1. I didn't
Okay,
play.
did you not play?
I'm not much of a scary guy.
Here's where I've been at. You might be wondering, Travis, you haven't been talking about any of these new games. You haven't been talking about any of this.
Yeah, where you been?
And we'll get to what I've been playing at the end of the show.
Eating Wumpa fruit.
But what I can tell you before we get to the end of the show is I've been playing some scary games this month. I've been playing some spooky
You've been wanting to
games.
get spooked.
And the Evil Within 2, I have not played it, but I'm really interested in this game. So for me, when I look at that game, to me, it looks like a Western kind of a game because it's published by Bethesda, and it looks like a very serious game. I'm starting to hear things where it's very much it's a very Japanese game, and I didn't realize that. I just finished playing a Resident Evil game for the first time this month, and I was over the moon. I guess I could kind of bring that up now. I played Resident Evil 4 this month, and I absolutely loved that game. I had never played it before, but it was very this mix of Japanese action with horror. It kind of reminded me almost like a Metal Gear Solid at times, with the different bosses and stuff. So I've been doing some research into Evil Within 2, and I didn't realize it's kind of similar to that in some ways. It's got funny moments, it's got interesting moments. So that game's on my radar. I haven't bought it yet, but it's been getting really good reviews. It looks really good. The thing about it, though, that I think makes it an interesting story is number one, it went open world for this game, which I thought that was weird because I don't know how
open world
scary game works.
So you're just running around on the horseback
and it deals a lot with messing with your perceptions. I've heard there's things where you'll go into a room from a hallway and then you'll go back out the door and it's a different building. It does a lot of messing with space and stuff. And another person was talking about they were kind of walking and then they kind of just saw the other part of the town lifting and kind of going sideways. And I've heard it described as almost Twin Peaks-esque with some of the creepy environment. I thought it was more just straight up guts and zombies horror. Yeah. But what I'm learning is it's much more weird and intricate almost David Lynch kind of stuff. So that game's on my radar. I'm going to be trying to pick it up. I'm trying to catch up on some games, but I wanted to kind of talk about that because I thought that sounded really interesting. Cool. And it wasn't a game that was on my radar until now it's come out. The second reason why I think it's interesting is this game has not sold hardly any copies. And it's the fourth Bethesda game in a row that is majorly bombed. Prey came out this year and way undersold. Evil Within came out and way undersold. Dishonored 2 for them last year undersold.
Yes.
And there was something else they released recently that majorly undersold. And I was wondering what you guys think about this. Do you think that has to do with the fact that they don't put out review copies for the games?
I don't think it helps.
They're games, they don't, to me, Evil Within is something I'm interested in now, but the reason why I haven't played it yet is because it literally took until after it came out and I started hearing things that interested me about it for me to even catch buzz about it. They're so Bethesda continued with the games that they publish, they continue to not really get the buzz out. Even Doom when it came out. And Wolfenstein just came out, and Wolfenstein is way underselling.
Yeah.
So what
good game,
what is the deal with them? Why are they
I think it's two
doing
things.
that?
I think one thing, the review thing doesn't help. But think of this year. It's nuts. There's a lot of games from the beginning of this year, Yakuza.
Yep.
Horizon I still haven't played.
Nier, Persona.
How am I going to find time for Evil Within 2? Or how am I also going to find time? I loved the first Dishonored. Didn't play the second one. Partially because I felt like I had everything in Dishonored 1 that I liked, and I didn't feel like a need for a second one.
Yeah.
But even people were saying this is a great game. Yeah, there's a freaking Zelda and a Mario coming out. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much stuff that's packed in. It's like some stuff had to fall out and like.
It's hard to be a $60 game and compete to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're coming out with a $60 game and you're not valued, in my opinion. Like, sorry, I'd rather pay $60 on Mario.
You got to get your hook out there. You have to get. What is it about your game that is interesting? I'll be honest too with the Evil Within. I saw trailers for that. Like we saw the trailer for Evil Within 2 during E3, and I laughed through it. I was like, "This is the dumbest looking thing." And so now I'm actually seeing some gameplay and hearing impressions, and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds really awesome. Why didn't you put that to the forefront, like when you're promoting the game?"
Yeah.
So
and that's Bethesda's fault, to be honest. I think
to be determined. Bethesda as a publisher is kind of in a weird place to me as far as the way that they're putting their games out there.
Skyrim's coming out on the Switch, VR. They'll be fine.
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll be fine, but it's just interesting. Yeah. So that's that.
Not everything was good in general. I just want to take this mask off so I can just really say another crappy game did come out. Huge WWE fan, NXT title belt. But I'm gonna put this to rest because they released WWE 2K18.
That game is a flaming turd.
And I
didn't hear anything.
That game is a.
What happened with it?
Well, first of all, I think that they have literally just taken the same PS2 game for like 15 years and just changed the textures.
They maddened it.
But it's even worse than that because glitches have compounded upon each other.
Yes.
Every year to where, have you seen like those FIFA glitches where the guys fall? Yeah. And then, so there's all, or Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, like where the guys would just flail around. This is like that level of bad.
You got this?
Like,
no, I actually skipped it. I actually skipped it.
The gifts of WWE 2K, is it 2K18?
Yes.
I'm going to look this up.
Maybe
I'll put some in right now.
It's bad.
I was doing some research into this because I was thinking, I was like, why in the world? Why can you not get this right?
Yeah.
And so what I actually learned in a little bit of research is that those games have very small budgets. Mm-hmm. They have very small teams that work on them, and they basically just say, what's the least amount of money we can put in to make off of wrestling fans that we can use to finance the better 2K games. So they use the money they make from wrestling.
It's a Kickstarter for other games.
To fund their other...
So if you're buying those games...
To fund like the 2K basketball games and stuff. So
if you're a wrestling fan, thank you. For the baseball fans.
And WWE is so cool with it because all they do is sit there and say, hey, buy our game on every single pay-per-view and TV show.
Yeah, they push them hard on their
pay-per-view. And that's all they do, and everybody's happy because a giant turd came out, and it is what it is.
That's smart but crappy.
When I play those wrestling games, I feel like I don't know what I am doing and what I'm not doing.
That's
like,
the point.
I'll get into these like chains, and it's like, mash square. So I'm mashing square, and it's like, hit R2, and I'm doing it, nothing's happening. I'm like, there's no syncopation between what's happening on the screen and what I'm pressing. The coolest things about those games are just kind of like the lead up to fighting and the hype. Yeah, the hype.
I'm not watching every TV show, but I'll watch a pay-per-view because I know the people on it. So just to lay that in bed, I'm not going to harp on it. Wrestling's dead to me right now.
Wow.
So let's keep going.
Well, Mario is alive to me. So, more spookiness. If you want to go to the scariest part of the internet, go to Twitter and make sure all the lights are off. Off. Turn them off right now, or no more treats.
No one's looking around.
Go to Twitter.
And go to Twitter and go to the search bar and type of DweeBro YT. And follow us on Twitter
that would be pretty scary.
Yeah.
I'd be scared to follow somebody.
I post the spookiest things. Like, I post, like, Bat Boy.
Yeah.
I post, like...
I'd be scared to post Bat Boy
Slender
too.
Man.
Freddy,
I actually post
Five Nights at Freddy.
Yeah, I post Five Nights at Freddy gifs that like scream at you. That's all I do.
Very scary.
So I post on there when I'm about to stream because I've been streaming the Tony Hawk games. When we're like podcast stuff, any news that you need to know is going to be posted to Twitter. So check it out. I have been streaming still the Tony Hawk series. I got through what I feel is kind of the harder part of the series for me, and that is 4 through Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Yeah.
I learned some stuff. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, still as bad as I remember. It's not that good to me.
I bought a PS2 just for that game because I never played it a couple years ago. Yeah. It was bad.
No, 4's bad.
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4 is a bad game.
Because 4 is the start. I feel like it is a test tube. It was an
awkward transition.
Yes, it's a test tube between the classic transition to the like open world.
They wanted to go that direction of underground where you're getting off your board and you're talking.
And you can't get off the board in 4.
But that's the problem. Is they want you to talk to people
But
which
you're on your
needs
board.
you to get off your board, but you can't get off your board.
So you have to like circle around
Yeah.
with people. What else sucks about 4, and I complained about in the stream, is I get off, I was like, here's the start of this sucky stuff. Play tennis with your board. And it's like, I'm playing Tony Hawk. What the frick am I doing? And I'm playing this tennis minigame, and everything controls bad when you're trying to do that. So I played that. Underground 1, yeah, you get off the board. And I'm like, this is rad.
Yeah.
But then within seconds, they're like, jump on these houses and do some
Yeah.
platforming. And it is so janky.
Yeah.
Then after that, they're like, get in a car and race. This ain't a racing game. You're an idiot. Like, and I did not. Underground, I was like, they're cool that you're off the board. Thug 2, though, better than I remembered. I was like,
Thug 2 is a fun
I'm
hilarious.
They really
Thug 2.
inject like a heavy dose of jackass into that game.
Bam Margera.
Yes.
Bam Margera became the face of that.
The walking stuff, I feel like they even make that a little bit better. They don't try to make you platform. At least as far as I got in the stream and from remember, each level has its own. And I forgot about the secret character. So in Philadelphia or Boston, I'm playing as Ben Franklin.
Oh yeah.
And like the next level I'm playing as I forgot whatever, but
Thug 2, that's a good game.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm playing as Steve-O in like the Barcelona level, and I'm on a mechanical bull, and I was like, this is the cool stuff. It's a fine line of like you're skating, but then even when you're in the secret character, at least you're still skating.
And
or doing
it's still
something like
goofy.
that. So there's some still goofy stuff I didn't like about it, but more respected as an adult than I thought.
American Wasteland's next, right?
American Wasteland is next. I think
That was where
be,
I fell off the series.
That'll be next Sunday, and that goes full like a world. Like you actually go between like places.
That's a long game.
See, I'm not beating them now.
Oh, so now you're just
from 4 on. I'm just playing them.
okay.
1 to 3, I could beat them after.
I played American Wasteland. I remember sitting there like, this is so much fun, but man, this is the longest Tony Hawk game I've ever played.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Like I couldn't believe it.
So I'm having fun with
Was
that.
American Wasteland the cross-gen game?
Yes.
Okay.
And I got that on PS2. I didn't get that on next gen. And then Project 8 was one.
Next gen was pretty much.
See, I skipped Project 8. I'm after
Project 8 is fun.
Really?
And I think I might stream
I
that
never
with
played
our buddy
Project 8.
Alex, because me and him used to play that online.
Okay, because I'm an American Wasteland person, so I'll try to make it out for that.
Yeah,
one.
if you can. So I'm thinking Sundays at 2:30, but check the Twitter. Check the spooky Twitter. It might change hours. We'll see.
Cool.
So that is that. So Mario is Italian, but he might be French.
Oh, so
And you know what else is in French? Paris.
the Eiffel Tower.
The Paris Games Week.
Oh yeah,
Good transition, huh?
that was great.
I'd watch
It
that.
came out of nowhere on their Twitter, on Sony's Twitter, they're like, Paris Game Week, and it kept posting. I was like, oh, and then stuff started leaking out. I was like, this is going to be a big deal. Like, there's going to be some
and
there's
then
gonna be
you
some
had
good stuff shown
reporters
here.
coming out saying, "Hey, everything they normally do at PSX," which if you've watched the channel, we've streamed PSX
love
before. PSX is normally a pretty big event. That was where they revealed Last of Us 2 last year.
Yeah.
So, PSX is normally a pretty big deal. They said this year, today it came out hey, this year, normal stuff that we would share at PSX, we're sharing at Paris Games Week. Very surprising.
Big deal.
So I streamed that, and that you'll probably have already seen that on the channel. That will be up. Me and Zach streamed our reactions to that, and had a good time with it. There was some great stuff shown right off the bat. We'll just start with the big kahuna. The freaking Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 2.
Did you watch this?
Trailer
Did you get to watch it?
No, I did not, but I caught up with our new forum, so we're good.
Okay. We'll get to that in a second. So Last of Us 2, total shock. Total freaking shock. I was not expecting that it was going to be that way. We'll see. New characters, we'll see. I like that. It feels like they're going to be like going back and forth between like
so
characters
if
and
you
stuff.
haven't, since you didn't see the trailer, essentially it starts out, they're dragging some chick through the woods. Then they put a noose around her neck. And
it's real bloody, real
and put her
violent,
feet
but-
on a bucket, and then another lady comes up, and they start hitting her with a hammer, and then the people hitting her with a hammer get shot in the head with arrows, and then
What?
And then the woman that was having the guys hit the girl with the hammer gets hit in the head with an axe, and then the woman on the noose falls, and she's choking, and then they cut the rope. And then some clickers run at everybody.
And that was such a cool reveal.
It was. Here's what I really liked about it. It
What?
had that kind of Metal Gear Solid 5 Kojima camera style of it was a one shot.
Yeah.
And it was like this, like it was constantly. It reminded me of Kojima. It also reminded me in style of what was the Revenant. Was it called The Revenant?
Yeah.
Was that the movie? Where all of the shots were kind of like down by everybody's side.
Okay.
And it just like the camera kept spinning around. And I love that scenario of like, it was kind of like a dance of like, this person's on the noose, but then they're holding this person. They hit the axe, but then the person that was holding them is now choking. And it was a really cool sequence. The only thing at first that I was kind of put off by was like, who are these people?
Yeah.
And that was the thing was like, you don't know the woman who is hanging from the noose. You don't know the woman that catches the axe in the face. You don't know the lady or her son that, get hit with the hammer. You don't know who any of these people are. But my speculation and the big rumor on the internet is this. When the woman is hanging from the noose, she's a buff lady, by the way. Yeah. She probably looks like, she's younger, but she's old enough to where she's buff. They hold a knife up to her stomach.
Yeah.
In the trailer, okay? So then they say, you're filled with, evil. You're filled with sin or whatever. Yeah. And then that lady that was holding the knife ends up getting killed. Well, that woman, she doesn't look like Ellie, but she looks reminiscent of Ellie.
Yeah.
So the big rumor now is that this might be Ellie's mom.
Yeah.
And so the big thing about this, and I've been kind of wondering this for a while, because it's not called The Last of Us 2. It's called The Last of Us Part 2. Mm-hmm. And the way they do the font, it really does look like Part 2, like The Godfather Part 2.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with The Godfather Part 2, it basically continues the story of the guy from the first one, but it also shows his dad in flashbacks throughout the movie. And I'm starting to think that's what we're getting with The Last of Us Part 2. We're going to get Ellie's story, but we will get flashbacks that we play of her mom.
That'd be awesome.
Sparse throughout. And I think that's where they're going with
Sign
this.
me up.
That would be so cool.
So it was
Godfather 2 is my favorite one.
Yeah, it was a brutal trailer, but I thought it was effective. And then once I realized that's what they were going for, that I thought that if that is in fact what they're going for.
The reveal really got me, because it was like, at first I thought it was Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Because Tomb Raider all the time is beating up on Lara Croft.
Yeah.
Every 2 seconds, Laura's getting thrown down a ravine. Rocks getting thrown on her head.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I was like, that's Lara Croft, but I was like, that doesn't look like Lara Croft. Her face is like way too, like, that's an older lady.
I'll say this too. Holy crap. Their new engine, Uncharted 4 already looked like out of this world. This makes Uncharted 4 look last gen.
My dad sat down and watched Uncharted Lost Legacy, and he went, whoa. Like, he just was speechless. He's like, what am I looking at? He's like, what am I looking at here?
Whoa.
They did a little mini interview with Neil Druckmann, who directs The Last of Us and the new one, and he said that this is like the next evolution of their engine. And I'm telling you what, like the faces and the way their skin, like in the water, and it looked like real people at points. Yeah. It really was amazing.
Cool.
So that was the biggest takeaway. But there were some other things here at this little Paris event.
I'm actually excited about this one. Detroit Become Human.
Yes.
Yeah, new trailer for that too.
And the concept of the game is
the only thing with that trailer, for me, I was like, why? I felt like they showed us a little bit too much. I wish they would stop like 20 seconds in or something.
Yeah.
I just think they're trying to make us understand what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like,
I really got it.
Have you seen the new trailer?
No, but I can probably piece together what it was. It was probably something that was like
this trailer was
more gameplay. Because I feel like every trailer they've done is like gameplay trailer.
And it was the same. It was similar where like they show a scenario and then they show it could have been different and then they show the opposite. Yeah. I like this trailer. David Cage games, I've never really played them all the way through, but they're kind of like corny dialogue that's really trying to take itself seriously. Yeah. And this was still in that same vein. But the subject matter
I feel like it got
this
intense.
Trailer,
got intense.
It was so... I mean, when you put this in Last of Us and that's the way you end your show, it was very bleak.
That's true.
More or less...
No Mario here.
A very angry man kills a little girl.
Yeah.
Like, just straight up murders her.
Yeah.
And then I guess it could have been different. The girl could kill her own dad. That's the other... So it kind of just left me like, man, like, maybe this is one you hold back for when you play the game. And show us something like robbing the bank. Show us saving the woman who got her purse stolen. Like maybe don't lead in the trailer with the man killing his own daughter, because this feels like something that you should be experiencing in game.
Maybe
not in a trailer.
I felt like they should have maybe showed just a little bit of it and been like, where's it gonna go? But
Yeah,
they showed
maybe you don't
every single
know,
aspect of stuff, and I felt like the trailer we could have.
They're selling it. They gotta
But
sell
I
it.
definitely am going to buy this, and because me and my fiance love playing through these games. These are so fun games to play.
It might be a concept trailer.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just where they're explaining it. And
Spider-Man.
It looks good. It does look good.
Spider-Man. They showed more Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And, looks good. I'm ready to see. This badly needs what God of War got.
MJ looks hot.
God of War got.
Yeah.
God of War got.
I actually watched this one.
In this showcase or whatever, God of War got a kind of like sit down and with uninterrupted gameplay.
It was just a quick little gameplay clip.
Yes, Spider-Man needs that extremely badly.
Yeah.
It needs an uninterrupted playthrough like God of War got. And it was time for God of War. It felt at a time.
Yeah.
The time felt good for God of War. So maybe
we still have
PSX,
time.
maybe
still have
PSX
time.
might.
Do you
be
guys
a
feel
playthrough.
like that God of War, they're starting to scale back some of those graphics a little bit to where it still looks good, but when they first revealed I want to talk about Spider-Man still, but when they first revealed God of War, when they opened that first press conference in 2015 or 2016 with it, I was like taken aback. I was like, this looks unbelievable.
I just think
today's demo and like the blood splatters, like the orange splatters, was like, okay, this looks like a game that's really running on hardware. I don't know. It came back down to earth for me.
I think it was that segment was different. So when they first showed God of War, it was walking very slowly, purposely through that.
And
open
everything
world.
was.
This was a combat mode thing. Like I think the game will just change. Like
and that's normal. I'm not saying it's a downgrade or that they're being lazy. I'm just saying like. For me, that game, from its first reveal, where it was like in the stratosphere of like, this doesn't even look real, it has come back down to earth to where maybe just graphics have developed too.
Yeah.
But to me, it was just like, okay, cool, this is like gameplay.
Yeah.
And I agree, Spider-Man needs that.
And that should be PSX, hopefully.
That story trailer, how are you guys feeling about the story?
With God of War?
No, of Spider-Man.
Oh, I gotcha.
I'm kind of lost.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
That's
well,
why I'm asking.
the thing for me is, I don't follow the comic books and stuff to the point where I had to ask Zach today in the stream was like, who's Miles again? Like, I don't know who that is.
Whoa.
But to me, I'm in it for the gameplay.
Yeah.
And I want to be Spider-Man, and I would just want to flip around. So the story is almost secondary. I hope it's good. Like, I want it to be a good, serviceable story, but I kind of just want to. I'm really.
Yeah, a lot of the Spider-Man games, I just want to be Spider-Man. I think
Yeah.
I think what it boils down to is I just want to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, I guess maybe why I'm asking is I don't know that I really need that much of a focus on the story.
Yeah.
It was a story trailer, which is cool.
I don't even know who the villain they're
That's
talking about.
Fine. The villain looks like Negative Energy Man. Like he just punches and things go flying.
Yeah.
So cool. It kind of almost looked like you play as MJ. There was a little bit of a clip where like the camera was behind MJ in like a gameplay angle, and the camera was kind of rotating, like someone was moving the camera, and she was like ducking.
Whoa.
So there, I'm not saying this is official, but I saw other people online speculating.
He's saying it official.
I saw other people online speculating of
crash.
like, hey, are we gonna maybe use her at times to walk through things? And
one can only hope.
I just hope that they take what they did with Batman, and not they, because it's a different company, but like what Batman was of its own thing, it's its own canon, it's just a Batman set of games. Mm-hmm. I hope they do the same thing. Looks like that's what they're doing. They
opened the show, the little showcase thing with this was Sucker Punch's new IP. So they've been quiet for a while, and people knew they were working on something.
Did you play their older games?
I played Sly Cooper series, and then I did not play Infamous.
The Infamous games didn't look appealing to me.
I loved Infamous.
Me neither. They didn't really appeal to
me.
me.
Are you guys serious?
You played Infamous, right?
You guys haven't played Infamous?
No.
I love Infamous.
Well, great. Okay, cool.
You guys didn't like it?
No, I just tell me a little bit about them. I don't know anything about them.
When PlayStation first came out, this was one of their first like
PS4
Second Son.
It was PS3 too, though. When PS3 first came out, because when the PlayStation crash happened, they offer you a free copy of Infamous. It was kind of
how I got it.
It's kind of a smack to the face.
Okay.
My little brother and me, we both 100% in Infamous 1.
Oh wow!
Big Infamous
it was awesome.
So, did you see this new game?
I think I always get Infamous and Prototype.
This new game is called
Prototype
Ghost. I could be really wrong with this. Ghosts of
Shashamash.
Shamash.
Okay, that's too. Just give me one word.
It is you're a samurai in the
like
1200s,
feudal Japan,
and like it's based on a historical time in that period when they were getting invaded or something was going on, and you're the samurai just going around and just saving people in these towns.
Yeah.
Let's go!
And it looks the style.
It looks the
awesome.
environments and like the trees and the
It
water.
looks rad. At first, I thought it was Neo.
If it's anything,
Yes, I'm excited to see like some gameplay. It's probably early, so that's fine. But if like the environments themselves look awesome.
I was happy to see something from them.
If it's anything like Infamous, sign me up. I love those games.
It might not. It doesn't look like it'll go the same superhero.
No,
route,
but
but maybe gameplay feel wise.
Well, like,
samurai gets
in terms of like, give them a little bit more of a.
This could be their horizon.
A leeway.
I'm hoping this could be like their horizon in the sense of like they get to really go after something fresh.
Yeah.
Speaking of something fresh,
Shadow of the Colossus was fresh.
Yeah.
Is that where you're going with that?
I mean, I don't know how much more fresher you can get.
I gotta be honest, Shadow of the Colossus, I wasn't really seeing the need for a remake when we already have a remaster. And I still feel that way analytically.
Yeah.
But watching the trailer today and hearing that music and it looks the same in terms of like the gameplay angles and you know even like the dumb cursor when you're aiming the bow is the same.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna get that day one because that game
the price went up. It's $40.
$40 even if just the fur textures on the monster and like the lighting and the sand.
Why would you guys?
Shadow of the Colossus is like one of those games that belongs in a museum to me.
Yes.
So it's one of those things that's like
shoot that up in the time
I
capsule
can't complain about you giving me an ice cream sundae, even though I already just had an ice cream sundae. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm still excited.
Yeah.
I guess maybe excited is not the right word. I'm warming up to it because it looks amazing.
Yeah.
I still don't know that we need it. I'd rather what's their name? Blue Point. I'd rather they do like a Demon Souls remake Demon Souls, remake something that like we don't have already. You can already get Shadow of the Colossus, I'm pretty sure, on the PS4.
Yes.
See that's not, you don't need it.
So I still analytically feel like we don't need it, but oh my gosh, it looks
I'm not interested.
Great.
You're not interested?
You're not. Did you play the first one?
Nope, not interested. Casual corner for me.
There's the casual corner.
I bet you would love that game.
You're right. This new
Your
trailer.
biggest complaint about Zelda was not enough boss fights. Hey, play Breath of the Wild, and then every time you think there should be a boss fight, turn on Shadow of the Colossus and play one of the bosses. And then go back to Breath of the Wild, and then it's a perfect game.
Play Dark Souls.
This new trailer.
That's a lie.
When they go through that forest, I was just like, this looks so good. I can't even remember the forest in Shadow of Colossus.
Well, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, is this a new area?
Yeah. It didn't stand out to me, that forest in the old one.
I think it was literally just like shade and like tree texture over you.
Yeah.
And like just a random limb going
They
up.
really went all out. And then when they showed that boss battle is so rad. It's you on the horse, jumping off the horse, jumping on the wing. Oh, such a classic boss moment. Amazing. So definitely look forward to that.
It's going to have to be a day one.
That's a day.
It's like, you know what? You go to church on Easter, you buy Shadow of the Colossus when that gets remastered.
I bought Shadow of the Colossus on PS2 day one. I bought the HD collection on day one, and now I'm freaking buying it for a third time, but it deserves it. It deserves it.
They're happy with you guys.
Next up, Monster Hunter Worlds. Never played the
Yes, okay. I've never played one of these. This game looks awesome. Yeah. This game looks so freaking great. This game looks like a blast, man. It looks like almost a little bit of like Dark Souls, but like fun Dark Souls. Like big giant monsters, and you've got all these weapons and gadgets.
When you die, everyone's smiling.
And when there's just like it looks like maybe you can team up with other people and attack these monsters together. It looks really good. There's like nets and traps and all this stuff. I didn't even play Horizon. I thought that was cool that you can play as Aloy.
Yeah.
I thought that looked... We were laughing. We went, is this Horizon? I thought they went immediately into Horizon, but it's actually Monster Hunter.
I thought that. I love that kind of stuff, and that to me makes me more interested in playing Horizon because they're like, hey, we can let our character be in this fun other thing.
Yeah, they can be involved.
And like I mentioned earlier, I went through this a couple years ago where I never played a Konami game, and then I just jumped into all these Konami games.
I played Capcom.
Well, I'm getting to that. I played like all the Metal Gear games and Zone of the Enders. I'm going through a similar thing with Capcom right now, where I had never played a Capcom game. but then I jumped into Resident Evil, and I'm getting excited for it. I Monster Hunter Worlds, when it was first revealed, a lot of people were worried, big fans of the series, because they're like, we want this series. They've made like 100 of them in Japan, and they ported a bunch of them here to the West. But they were like, we want Monster Hunter Worlds to be like a fresh start where we want to just take the best parts of it and make it palatable like to the Western audience. It's doing its job because someone who's never played one of these, is ready to jump into this day one. Yeah. I'm very excited about this game. Cool. And I'll probably get it on PS4 because that's cool that you can play as Alloy. So I'm excited.
PSVR stuff, I just want to talk about 2 games. Well, 3 actually. I didn't put it on there. But 3 quick ones. PSVR, I love the experience of playing those games. One that I'm not going to play, but really respected, and Zach's really pumped for it when we streamed today. Stifled was its name. And you are walking through these like hallways, and it's in black and white graphics. It's like white vector kind of like graphics. All it is lines. That's the only like texture. And you have to throw like rocks to like have sonar effect of like seeing the level. When you don't do that for a while, it's just all black around you. You don't know where you're walking. So you throw that. Here's the problem though. Enemies are activated or can hear you. That's how they know to come towards you.
That's kind of scary.
So you have to balance out seeing how to get through the level and keeping like away from these enemies.
And you won't play this?
Too spooky.
Oh, wow.
With the PSVR stuff, but it is such a cool concept that I hope that game takes off. It looked really fun. Next thing was what was it? Sprint Vector or something. And it was this game where they're all on rollerblades and you can see your hands.
That looked cool.
That looked so
It looked
rad.
like, it reminded me of Lucio in Overwatch, how he skates around. It looked like Lucio skating in VR.
Really?
It was cool.
I said it reminded me of this old PS1 game called, they made 2 Extreme and 3 Extreme was the name of it. And you had rollerbladers racing against bikers, racing against skateboarders, and like it was pandemonium.
Almost like a Jet Set Radio.
And it was
kind of
nutso.
Jet Set Radio.
And yeah, so you're racing around, jumping and like leaping on these things and lifting yourself up and then running on these blocks and then racing. I definitely want to check that out. That
looked good. There was a game from London Studio, and it looked like they took London Heist and actually like made a game.
Yeah. I saw that.
And
I forgot the name of that.
It was kind of weird because they're like shooting up a nightclub, but like it looked pretty cool. Like it was, you could walk, because a lot of London Heist was like, hey, you're in this truck.
Yeah, you're walking.
And you're shooting. Or, hey, you're in this room getting a diamond and you're shooting. You were walking in this game. Yeah. So I hope maybe London Studio, because they made London Heist, right? Yeah. It looks like maybe they've learned from London Heist a little bit. And what was that game called? It almost looked like Red Steel, but like remade in VR, which was it Red Steel, or what was the name of that game? It was a Wii game. Where you had like
Red Steel, you were doing that.
It reminded me almost of that. Honestly, watching that trailer reminded me of like, man, the Wii really was like the first thing trying to do this. Right, but I'm gonna give props, because when we sat through E3, I sat here on this podcast and said, why get a PSVR? Like they don't really seem to be pushing it, and they made it a very big part of their showcase, and there is more stuff coming out. To where I was watching it thinking, maybe I would get one. Maybe a little bit down the road here, I might end up buying one.
Yeah, there's some rad stuff. And they're going to sell, too, to like 300.
It's getting to where there's a decent amount of them out, like a decent amount of games out there. So it looked fun. It looked like there was
Moss,
a decent...
which you had spoke about. I don't know if you've ever spoken on the podcast about it, but you wanted this ideal of like, I want to help a little like character.
Yeah, I've always said my perfect VR game would be, I'm like a big giant, and there'd be a little character, and I could help it platform across the level. I've been saying that for a couple of years now, and somebody through the osmosis of the universe has the same idea, or they watched our podcast, or they read a post I wrote on the internet, and they did that, and to where I think that I would get that in VR and play that. Man. So
you did it. You made Moss.
This is what you need to do. Learn how to make games just by saying you want them, but you won't make any money. But then you can play them.
You can play them, have fun. But that looked good. Yeah. And then finally, this was on the indie thing, Guacamelee 2. Very fun.
I never played Guacamelee 1.
Metroidvania. Definitely check it out.
To me, just sounds goofy.
It is a goofy game. It's a goofy Metroid. That's all you need to know.
All right.
But that was fun. So that's it for that. Do you want to go ahead with our next?
Okay, so Psychonauts 2 gameplay.
Yeah.
When did this come out?
Earlier this month.
Earlier this month.
I guess.
I really enjoyed the first Psychonauts.
You're a big Psychonauts.
I really love that game because I had the original Xbox and I liked the N64 was the platform I had before the original Xbox. But those two devices were so different and the software made for them was so different that as I was like, I went from N64, that was back in the day where you picked a console and that's what you had for the generation. So like I picked Xbox because I wanted Halo. But when I was younger and I had an Xbox, when I wasn't playing Halo or football, I wanted to play like a platformer. So I would go into Game Crazy and I would just look for something that looked Nintendo-ish. And one day I found Psychonauts and I bought that game. It was like $40, which was really expensive for a used game back in those days. Because it didn't really sell well and they didn't make a ton of copies of it. But I took home Psychonauts and I played that game and I love that game. That is a game. It takes kind of that Banjo-Kazooie kind of like you're running around levels and collecting things. But it had this really great sarcastic sense of humor. Yeah. And the game, the first game was a game where you go into the minds of these camp counselors. And like one used to fight in the war. So like his mind is full of like all these war scenarios. Yeah. And there's like turrets shooting at you. And there's one that you go in his head and he loves like movies or something. So there's like different scenarios like you're a giant Godzilla stomping through a city. And they just nailed almost kind of like a Super Mario Galaxy thing where like they just went with all these different things that were so much fun. All that being said, the game sold crap. Like it was very well critically regarded, and that game did not sell at all because go figure, nobody who had an Xbox wanted that game. So over the course of time now, they did the VR thing for Psychonauts, and now they're making a second one. Yeah. Saying all of that, I haven't seen this gameplay.
Oh, you haven't even seen it?
So, I guess I didn't realize that this had come out. So that's why I asked. Tell me a little bit about, as a Psychonauts fan, tell me about what released and if it interests you as someone that never played it.
I thought it looked like it's a very polished, because I've seen gameplay of the first one over. It looks really pretty. It looks like you're platforming a lot. I kind of scrubbed through it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was really funny how they had it set up. They had Tim Schafer on one side and the other guy, and it was like their backs. And then, like, they were looking at the gameplay was in front of them as they were playing.
Oh, but gosh.
It is still, I think, rough gameplay or whatever. Okay. They even said, like, at the beginning, this is still in development or whatever. But they had, like, some of the characters they were talking to and, like, some cutscenes
so exciting.
stuff. So I thought you'd saw it or whatever.
No, I have not seen it, but I'm really excited for that. I'll say this about Double Fine, which is that company. Yeah. Super creative guys. They don't do gameplay really well a lot of times. Like they've done a lot of click adventure games and stuff since Psychonauts. Psychonauts control really well and was a really good game. So a lot of times their games are kind of more just funny than they are fun to play. I'm really hoping that like they recapture gameplay wise. They did a really good job with the platforming of the first Psychonauts. So that's what I'm interested to see if they kind of can tap back.
And they have that VR game coming out.
Yeah, honestly,
is that the first game?
No, I think it's just kind of like a short experience of because like I was kind of saying, Psychonauts is they're basically the premise of the game is like you're a kid named Raz that's at this camp where you learn how to go into people's minds to solve.
So you'll probably be in the VR and
go. So I think that in the Rhombus of Ruin is like we're gonna go into this person's mind and it's like a VR experience in their mind. So
we'll find out.
I'm gonna have to check out this gameplay, and I'm hoping. I think it's gonna be almost like a ukulele, like a double A. It's not gonna be AAA polish. It'll probably be like an 8-hour game when they release it, and that's fine. Yeah. Like I think just there's certain series where you just have to be happy to be getting something. You know what I mean? And that's how I kind of feel about this. So that's exciting.
You can pull that from the gameplay maybe a little bit. So EA. Another horror story.
My favorite people.
A horror story to get you spooked. Yeah. Oh, here's another Kit Kat. Actually, this is Kit Kat with like razor blades put in it.
We're kind of going on a string of spooky stories.
Yeah, this is too spooky.
Are you ready for some ghost stories?
Hold on to your blanket and put it above your eye. But instead of a treat, this is a Kit Kat with a razor blade in it. Eat that. Ouch.
Sucks.
People are still scared about that, like kids getting like razor blades in their treats.
My mom checked all my candy.
Did she?
Yeah.
But I'm still seeing stories. But I am glad seeing on Facebook people going like, "This will never happen. This doesn't happen. Yeah. Buzz off. Like, don't worry. Don't get scared." So EA closed Visceral Studios, and this was Amy Hennings, who worked on Uncharted 1, 2, and 3.
This is the company she has been hired at.
And she was working on 4 before they had a falling out or whatever, left, and started working here on this game.
Visceral Studios.
Visceral Studio had a Star Wars game in development. And I remember when I heard this news, I was like, I was just watching a video of Amy Hennig explaining this whole thing with their Star Wars. Like they had BioWare was making a Star Wars, and some other studios were working on Star Wars games.
And everybody was excited.
It had her in there talking about whatever, and I'll have that playing right now. But yeah, it sounded cool, and their statement sparked this whole conversation.
Yeah.
They canceled this thing, and they said, hey, this was a story-driven game.
Linear story-driven.
Yeah. And we want to go a different route with it. Now, since that came out or whatever, there was a lot of speculation of like, a single-player game's dead. What is going on in the industry? Now, my kind of fears have kind of like subsided on that a little bit. When it first came out, I was kind of like, what the frick is happening in single-player games? Because in the thing they were talking about, there was more issues at hand than like
the game.
It just sounded like a mess, and they didn't cancel it in time.
The game that Visceral Studios was making, it was kind of called Ragtag.
Yeah,
it was trouble from the very beginning. It was always troubled. There's a really great write-up by the writer Jason Schreier. There's a really good write-up by him on Kotaku, of all places, that kind of details it all. We won't get into every single specific part of it, but here's my history with this game, and kind of since EA got the exclusive license to make Star Wars games, I have had a bad feeling in my gut. Yeah. Because EA got the exclusive license to make football games a long time ago, and they have subsequently
dropped the ball
in a lot of ways. So when they got the exclusive license 4 years ago to make Star Wars games, number one, my first thought was, okay, this is going to be a problem because in the past we've just had all these different companies. If you want to make a Star Wars game, you go to LucasArts saying, we want to make this game, here's our idea for it, and LucasArts would say, okay, and you would run with it and you would make it. Now it all has to be funneled just through one company. Yeah. But on top of that, there's this other thing that does tie into this, which is the Universal Star Wars canon. Mm-hmm. So when Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, they came out and they said, all Star Wars content produced from here on out will be canon, meaning it has to be completely fitting in with the vision that Lucasfilm has for the movies. So the reason why I bring that up is this. Making all the movies canon is one thing. Making all the books canon is another thing, and making all the comic books canon. The problem with video games is that video games are not an open-closed book situation where you write out as the author of the story what happens, and that's that. Yeah. Right? Video games feature player agency. They feature you doing things in the game. Not just that, video games, and you were kind of talking about from that book that Jason Schreier wrote, video games require long periods of development, longer than a movie, longer than a book, and you do not have time to be micromanaged. You do not have time to sit around and wait for approval on every little thing. But the problem is, Lucasfilm wants every single video game that's made to fit in perfectly with the universe they're creating with the Star Wars canon. So that all comes into play with Ragtag, in that when you start reading about what was going on with the development of this game, Amy Hennig and her team didn't agree on what they wanted. Amy Hennig and EA didn't agree on what they were trying to do. Amy Hennig and her team could not get Lucasfilm's approval on basic things like what kind of pants a character would wear. Like
it would take
because
weeks or months
then Lucasfilm would say, well, we don't know if those kinds of pants were even developed yet according to the canon. And so then when you think about what kind of Star Wars games have even come out since the merger, guess what has come out? Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2. Yeah. That is awful. That is, and Galaxy of Heroes, which is just some stupid phone game. Yeah. So we are living in the darkest timeline as regards Star Wars video games. Ragtag looks like it was a mess. Before Amy Hennig showed up, it was going to be an open world pirate game. Yeah. Then she showed up and they said, well, it's just going to be a linear single-player pirate game. Yeah. Now she's off the project, and Visceral is no longer going to be a company, and it's going to be they're going to try and save the assets and make it some kind of a pseudo-multiplayer cooperative Star Wars pirate game. I don't care. Yeah. I just don't care. The problem is this. EA and their executives do not know what the heck they're trying to do with this IP.
Yeah.
And that's made even worse by the fact that Lucasfilm themselves do not know what to do with video games. I watched at Star Wars Celebration, they did a panel on Star Wars Battlefront 2, and they had the writers of the story mode kind of talking about their process of writing the game. And it was awkward because they had a chip on their shoulder, and they were kind of like, we wanted to prove to Lucasfilm that we can make a story. And they were like, we want to tell a video game story. And they had a Lucasfilm rep there that was like, we're still trying to figure out how to navigate this, because what do you do if player chooses A instead of B? Now your canon isn't perfectly fitting.
Oh my gosh, frick the canon.
But that's the problem. That's the holdup.
They're not fricking the canon.
So I don't see any solution other than Nintendo, or not Nintendo. EA. It's not EA's fault. Lucasfilm has to backtrack on this whole video games being canon thing.
Yeah.
They have got to do it. Otherwise, we are not going to get any more single-player games.
Yeah.
The biggest reason why Battlefront 1 only had certain planets, 4 planets, was because Lucasfilm only wanted planets that were in the movies.
Yeah, that's boring.
Because it's boring. The thing that makes Star Wars games fun is doing crazy stuff that you're in that world having fun. In Lucasfilm, they do not understand video games, and they have proven that over 4 years. And EA is the most unimaginative company to pair with them not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
in that article, what's interesting to note is they even said like they were making this game with that character, and they said, we actually want this to be about Boba Fett or whatever. And like,
where's Chewbacca?
In their mind, I think that was in there too. Like, where's Chewbacca? They asked or whatever. And it was like, we found out through market study, people like Chewbacca, and it's like, with that kind of people at the helm, the boat's crashing.
So, is it? Couple all that with the fact that I get the impression that Amy Hennig is not the best lead designer imaginable. Yeah. Like, she did a really good job on Uncharted 1 and 2, but she had a team that she trusted. It seems like she never really gelled with the team at Visceral, never really trusted them to take care of the other elements of the game. So you got stories of, like, basic gameplay things are still unsolved, but she's, like, recording dialogue with people for months on end, and it's like, okay, you needed to have more of a division of labor. So Visceral's dead.
Ragtag's getting
not
scrapped, but
that
reformed.
Whatever that game was going to be is not what it's going to be.
Ragtag getting thrown in the bag.
The goofiest thing about all of this is I didn't really want a linear Star Wars game. I wanted more of an open thing, so I'm kind of happy in a way, but it's also like this game was already going to be 2019, so now it's 2020 and beyond. EA and Lucasfilm, you need to get your stuff together.
Yeah.
You need to empower some teams to do some creative stuff. And you got to solve the underlying issue in all this really is the canon thing.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest holdup.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the solution.
You can't just change. I think in their minds they could change stuff in the books and the film, like, oh yeah, just make it Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, everything crumbles if you do that. Like the whole like animation, how they did this, the voice acting they threw out, buzz off. So that's that. That sucks. Are you ready to get more spooked? And when you open your treat bag, you're expecting treats, but guess what? These are treats you already have. You already got a Kit Kat with a freaking razor blade in it. Because you got a loot box. You goof. Loot boxes have been the talk this month pretty freaking constantly. I couldn't get away from them. Because they're everywhere. They're freaking in the new Battlefront. They are in the new Assassin's Creed, I think.
I don't know if they're in Assassin's Creed.
I think
they are definitely in the new Shadow of War.
They're definitely in Shadow of War.
Which is a single player
definitely
game.
In definitely in Destiny 2, and they've also been in Overwatch. But that's just another example of them. But, so, a lot of the talk was that people actually got together, these boards, or people went to the UK's, like, kind of, or I think they went to the ESRB. That was the thing. They went to the ESRB and said, hey, can you make the rating different and say...
If a game includes a loot box.
If a game includes loot boxes, can you change the rating to include, like, it's gambling or whatever? Because
you're putting in money not knowing what you're getting.
Yes. And the ESRB returned and said, basically, this is no different than, like, getting a trading card or whatever, because you don't know what you're going to get in the box. And I actually thought that was a pretty fair actual response more I thought about it.
Yeah.
But my problem with having them in a video game instead of just a trading card game, because the trading card game example, they're right on the gambling thing to me. Mm-hmm. But what I want to argue from a gameplay standpoint and from a video game standpoint is with trading card games, that's part of the whole process and the fun actually is getting those cards and trading with your friends and trying to build that deck, and you know what you're getting into. Yeah. With video games, having that random aspect to it, and this really started with like in-app purchases and iPhone era and all that stuff when all these games started coming out. It basically kind of really builds all of the gameplay and the focus not on the story and the gameplay, but more on everything is built around your pocket. Yeah. How can we get your wallet? Like everything's built on like how can we get your money? So everything is going to be suffer from that. Yeah. If that's your core, and arguably, like some people might say, hey, it's an optional thing or whatever. It freaking is going to destroy. It is going to hamper your game, because with that aspect being money and stuff can be driven that, all the focus, those developers are going to build that. Everything is going to be built on that foundation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How can we funnel you into buying that? And everything's going to just be hampered.
And we didn't really include it in the news, but an article came out that kind of explored this patent that Activision had developed, where basically they developed this entire algorithm that would pair players that had not bought in-game purchases. They would pair them with players who had, so that they would be killed by them, and then they would zoom in on the thing. It was this whole thing that they developed to like connect players that hadn't spent money with players that had, so that they could see the difference.
Yeah. It made me want to quit the game.
And but then Activision came out and said, we have not implemented this. It's just something we've R&D'd. And a lot of people, like developers, were on Twitter like, this is actually really fascinating, but it's very troubling. Yeah. I completely agree with you that like once you start to inject that into the game, it's over. From the ground up. And this is the problem I have with a lot of modern multiplayer games, which is if your game is designed and balanced to things that are not purchasable outside of just buying the game, then it's going to be okay. And that's ultimately with Overwatch. When you turn on Overwatch and you play as Lucio, I know what Lucio can do. I know what his power 1 and power 2 is. I know what his ult is. I know what his gun does. I know what his clip, how long his clip is. I know how to do it. If I play as Roadhog, I know exactly what all of his powers are. Yeah. If I see someone else playing as Roadhog, I know exactly what their powers are. It doesn't matter what skin they're wearing. I know what that guy can do. When I get on any other modern multiplayer shooter, I don't know what the heck they have. Yeah, I don't know what weapon mod they're using.
They're at an advantage just because they bought something.
So what happens is, not even are they in an advantage, I can't make a strategic decision because I don't know what they're using. And they don't know what I'm using. And I got on the Battlefront beta for Battlefront 2, and I didn't know. There were all these other guys that had built up all these perks. And so gameplay isn't engaging when you can't make an informed decision. Yeah. If you can't make an informed decision about what the other person is doing, it's not even just about them having an advantage. It's just not good design. Yeah. All that being said, I don't think the trading card thing fully holds up, because when you buy a pack of cards and you get, even if you get a bunch of fodder, even if you get a bunch of crappy cards, those are your cards. You own those cards. Those cards cannot be taken from you. They are yours. A lot of these loot boxes have consumable items. Yeah. Like, it's like, hey, use this and it gives you an XP boost for an hour. Yeah. Or, hey, use this in Destiny 2. Use this gem or use this shader and it can make your gun purple until you take it off and then it's gone. Or it can make your gun fire 5% faster for the next match. Yeah. Okay, or Dead by Daylight has consumables like that, where it's like, hey, this will, just for this match, it will make your your fixing generators 10% faster.
But the difference is you're not buying those.
But they are implementing that in that game. The difference is though,
game sucks.
The difference is though, once you use that, it's gone. So it's not like a trading card, because if you have a trading card, you get a mana and a magic trading card pack. You can use that when I play against you. I still have that card. I can use it against you. I could sell it for 5 cents at the shop. Yeah. You can't do that with these cards, with these things. It's for in-game things that are consumable a lot of times.
Yeah. And I think this also goes even one more layer deeper. And I was thinking about this was like, okay, with software, like when you buy software, a lot of stuff's moving to a subscription model of stuff.
Yeah.
Like a lot of stuff is moving to subscription, and they want to be able to have you come back, especially EA and those bigger companies are wanting you to come back and like.
Understandably, they'll make more money.
This raises up a conversation of like these games that are like take so much man hours and money they're pouring into, and then you play it for 20 hours and you trade it into GameStop and they lose the sale because somebody buys it used. That is not like that's not sustainable. Yeah. And I was thinking seriously after seeing the loot box stuff and everybody is like we're not raising the price of games from $60. That ceiling is not being raised. We have this loot box crap, and I was thinking, and now it's only getting more expensive. You have more voice acting. You have more, like you have to get more animators and stuff to build these games. The graphic now they're 4K. You have to worry about now. You got to worry about performance more, and they're
the
hiring.
Cost to make it is going up.
And I'm looking at this and I'm going, hey. Remember in the 80s when the game market crashed? We are headed toward... Like, I don't know how this is sustainable for a couple more years or generations. Yeah. I don't know when this is going to pop, but it's going to pop. Yeah. Unless we raise that price or something breaks. Something's got to give.
Yeah, but, I'd be in favor of an $80... That's
another spooky thing for Halloween.
$80 AAA games, I could stomach that. Yeah. I would be more selective than I already am. But I could live with that. Yeah. If you got rid of the loot box stuff in the single-player games... To me... Battlefront, if you want to do the loot box thing, make it a $30 game.
Yep.
Like, to me,
that's
like
what it is to me.
Yeah, like
once you're going to cut corners.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So, but we get free DLC.
To me, you get free DLC in Overwatch also, but you don't have gameplay affecting microtransactions.
I agree. It's crap. It sucks.
So I'm going to skip down a little bit. Do we just want to go into like NeoGaf and the whole thing that kind of went up in there?
So if we've mentioned it before here on the podcast. If you're not familiar, there is a website forum online called NeoGaf, and it's where people get together. They talk about games. They talk about
game devs are on that.
Game developers, game journalists, insiders. It's a great place for
a lot of stuff is leaked from it.
It's very hands-on.
It's a great place for getting your news. It's a great place to go when there's big events because there's lots of fun memes going around and stuff like that. It's a great place just if you're looking to play a game to kind of get like, hey, how does it perform on PC? Yeah. Hey, I want to play online. Let me find some people. So it's this forum that's been around for 15 years or so. It's been around for a long time, and it is kind of a forum in the age of there are no more forums. Everything's on Reddit and Twitter, but then you've got this giant colossus of a game forum that looks like it probably hasn't been changed much in 8 years, but it's very used and it's very popular. And we get on there, we post, we look at stuff before you got banned.
I did get banned.
And that kind of gets into it. Banned. The reason why this online community has survived for so long, in a lot of ways, is one, the people that are part of it. They've got like 190,000 users. The people that are on it care a lot about it, and really like the threads become very long, and people post a lot, and there's a very strong community. Another element of it, though, is that they are very heavily moderated. Yeah. They've got these mods that take their job really seriously. It takes a long time to get an account on NeoGaf, and they would ban you if you even slightly
can't make jokes about Switch
if
controllers.
You make just kind of one-off jokes, you got banned for just saying, "Oh, that
Switch controller."
LOL, you paid $70 for that.
Yeah.
So it was one of those places where a lot of times when you get placed on the internet, you just get a lot of crap thrown around. You didn't get that there. Yeah. Well, what happened this past week, last weekend, was the owner lead person of NeoGaf. His name's Tyler.
Did a bad thing.
So some things had been kind of coming out over the past few years about him here and there, but there was just kind of like a straw that broke the camel's back effect, where last weekend or the week before last, a girl had come out and had accused him of some sexual misconduct. We'll call it that. And basically, very quickly, questions started to come out about, hey, this is not the first time this has been voiced about you. Hey, every time this stuff comes out, you just ban anybody that brings it up, which is true. Hey, there is a shady history here. Yeah. And what you started seeing was
people getting banned, new threads.
You started seeing a rise very quickly of people flooding the forum, which is normally a very well-kept place, flooding it with like, hey, ban me because I don't want to be on your forum.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a sack of crap for what you've
Terrible
done.
stuff.
And you would open threads, and it would be like
Terrible
porn.
thing. Yeah,
it would be
things.
like drawings of him naked, like around women.
It was the equivalent of the White House leaving the door open, and people jump on the fence, start peeing on the walls.
Yeah, just peeing
it
on the walls.
It was this great place that was so you couldn't do anything.
So what ended up happening was, and we realized like, okay, what is happening? The reason why all these threads were able to be created was the mods quit. Like all of these, 10, 12 mods that very heavily manage this community, they all quit. And what we found out why they quit was they had a meeting or whatever. They got a statement from the main guy, Tyler, and basically his statement was, none of this is true. Ban anybody that tries to talk about it. We're going to put out a statement, and they all decide to leave. So all that to the side, whatever with this woman. Obviously, she didn't really want this to become a big thing, and it has. So thoughts with her as she kind of goes through that.
Yeah.
Basically, this pillar of games media evaporated.
Yeah, at the end of the day, this is over.
In like a matter of 5 hours, I was on that morning. I was checking NeoGaf, and I went shopping, and we shot something for a video, and I came home and it was gone. It was just taken off the internet, and so it evaporated like that. And so there were a few days where this massive community of 100,000 plus people was just displaced. They were kind of like, what do we do?
Twitter.
So people were calling them Gaffy G's.
Yeah, Gaffy G's. And I know for me and you, it was like one of those things where
I didn't know what to do.
This podcast, we use NeoGaf to like figure out what is the news. Every day you can get on there and see what's going on. So out of all this chaos and negativity and awful stuff, something really awesome.
This is the treat.
Yeah, something really awesome has happened. That was the trick. This is the treat.
Yeah.
The community of NeoGaf basically did the impossible. And they abandoned the forum and they congregated on Discord servers. And somehow in the course of 4 days, they got all of these, tens of thousands of people on the same page, and they said, we're going to start a new forum.
Yeah.
And me and Zach were like very skeptical that this would work out because we were seeing rumblings on Twitter of like, hey, we're going to start something else. And I've seen forum drama before. Yeah. And here's what doesn't happen. You never get a community just migrate. Because you have a split where this guy wants to start his own forum and that guy wants to start a forum and they don't agree. Well,
the only other successful one I've ever seen in my online life, it's very hard for this to happen, was MySpace to Facebook.
Yeah.
That's the only one I was
that was even just more of a cultural shift. Yeah. Because but there were a lot of people that were like, I'm leaving MySpace. But there's a lot of parallels to this. Yeah. But essentially, they got this site created, and they very quickly started getting people that were like on the Discord servers in. I got myself into a Discord server, and then through that I was able to get Zach, and we got registered for the new site. But they created a new site called ResetEra. And honestly, in 4 or 5 days, they have basically completely recreated NeoGaf.
Looks great.
But it's better. Like, it's got better functionality. It's very active.
I feel like
they're up to 27 or 28,000
I feel like I can make a Switch Pro controller joke again.
Yeah.
It's very open.
So I guess
that's water.
When we first wrote these show notes up like a week ago, this was like a negative story. It was very sad.
Now it's great.
And it's kind of turned into a good story, like a feel-good story of this community who said, hey, our creator is doing some really crappy stuff and we're not putting up with it and we're going to do our own thing. And now NeoGaf.
Check out ResetEra.
I would encourage you to not bother going to NeoGaf because it's a wasteland now.
It's like really 7 people now.
And ResetEra is accepting new members. So if you want to chat with us, we get on there and talk.
You might even see us.
I don't even think it takes 6 months at this point.
Yeah, it took me 3 months to get into NeoGaf. It took me like 2 hours to get in ResetEra.
Yeah, so it's a great place to keep up with news and whatnot. But I just thought that was a feel-good story of video games.
There's your treat, your final treat. Now, what would you call these?
There are treats.
There are treats.
Our treats.
It's all about me.
This is the our treats section. This is our games that we've played this month. So, Witcher 3, I beat Witcher 3, put freaking 65 hours into it to beat it. Just the base game.
And how did you like it?
Awesome.
I'm very proud of you.
Very fun. Some people's complaint is that it's almost too long. Yeah. But I felt like this was, hey, we're not going to return to this kind of world for a while. eat. Here's the smorgasbord.
Yeah.
And eat for years on this thing. I'm still playing. I beat the first expansion. Very fun. It's called Heart of Stone
Hearts of Stone.
Hearts of Stone.
And
or something.
there's Blood and Wine.
And then Blood and Wine's what I'm on right now. And Blood and Wine is like I paid $25 for this on a freaking sale. I feel like I got away with highway robbery.
Wow.
It is just I'm looking at this new expansion like, oh my gosh, there's still so much to do. Like a new.
So you're happy with it?
Very happy. Absolutely recommend. That's a classic game. Love it.
Cool.
Cuphead. Now, last podcast I said I'm going to play more of this and get more into it. I have beat Cuphead. I am King Cuphead.
King Cuphead.
That game made me say the worst things I've ever said in my life. It is so frustrating. And sometimes when you go into a boss fight, what was that? Oh, that's the TV. There's lightning in here. I was like, it was a real spooky night. But there are parts when you start a boss fight and you're like, I will never beat this. Like, it's the hardest things. And then you play once more and you're like, oh, I got a little bit further. Oh, I got a little bit further. And then you're like, I can do this. And you finally build up the thing. Art style is incredible. Yep. The music's great. It's such a small... It ended up taking me like 15 hours to beat it because I died a trillion times on everything. Highly recommend that. I give it actually a classic because it is so just set in like... It's so refined on like the levels and what you're doing. The bosses, there's only like so many of them, but everyone is like they're so masterfully created.
Yeah, they're all
Nothing
different.
else like this has the style. It will be remembered for years to come. Definitely recommend that. And then Super Mario Odyssey, I already talked about. It was fun.
Awesome. For me, I was very, very busy month. I played a lot of different games.
Yeah.
I beat the Fractured Butthole, so that was phenomenal. I was talking about that earlier. Still trucking on Madden 18. I'm probably gonna bring up Madden 18 for a whole year, or at least until franchises. Yeah, I beat the story.
Why are you playing still?
I got to play some franchises. Got to lead my team to the Super Bowl. I'm in the playoffs, so playoffs. I'll let you know if I win the Super Bowl next month. Very tough matchup.
Yeah,
so.
And your quarterback got hurt.
Well, yeah, he only bruised his elbow. How stupid is that? You could leave a game for a bruised elbow. Freaking bullcrap.
Yeah, what a
Dead by Daylight made its return.
See, I played this and I was done with it.
Yeah. See, you're full of it.
I've jumped the shit.
Hey, that white suit should be brown suit with all the crap you're spewing.
Wow.
So listen here.
It's not in the game.
Dead by Daylight?
It was good. They fixed the servers. Praise God, they fixed the servers. And they gave us Freddy Krueger.
Gave
DLC.
it? Is he free?
No.
They handed it
they
to you.
Sold us. Here's my thing. I won't buy.
How do they have the audacity to have the servers in their multiplayer only game not work for months on end, and then they sell you DLC?
Hey, look, I'm playing the game again. That's all that matters. I put 45 hours in this. I'm excited to keep playing.
Dead by Daylight is a fun, janky game.
You hate this game.
I play it
you
with
hate this
you guys. Game. It is so frustrating and unbalanced, but it's fun. But it's like Mario Kart. You know, like when you get hit by the blue shell in Mario Kart, and it's like, I can't... Give me some way to evade this. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like
I don't like the timing mechanic of having to power up and time it.
Dead by Daylight is kind of like that, but just constant. But when you do get away and you escape
it's
the killer,
worth it.
There are very few things that give you like the rush, like when you get away from the killer, because it's so unbalanced.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Super Mario Odyssey, thumbs up, and then I picked up one of my all-time favorite games, Earthbound again, on my newly acquired SNES Mini that I was able to get my hands on. So Earthbound, my lovely, I get to play you again. I'm so excited. So it's been great.
Funny thing on Earthbound.
Yeah.
Me and Travis went to a concert recently.
Yeah.
And the concert starts. I don't think I've told you about this.
No.
The concert starts, and we even talked about you during this. And they just have a projector screen. And up comes the Earthbound logo. And I was thinking like, oh, shoot, they're going to just have like a short little like video, whatever. The concert starts, the Earthbound, they hit start, they hit new game. Someone is either playing it backstage or on YouTube, they play the game the whole concert. They're just playing behind.
What?
They're battling, going
they're talking to people.
Playing the game.
It's a full uninterrupted gameplay of this guy playing. It was Mac DeMarco.
And it actually, Mac DeMarco is a freaking awesome awesome
Great
singer-songwriter.
concert.
If you're into rock, kind of just chill rock
Great
and roll.
live performance.
Yeah, great live performance.
And you can see her.
But like, there were even moments where like the game kind of stopped. I think the guy like might have gone and like
go pee
take a leak or grab a sandwich, and then he picked back up. But they made no mention of it. That was.
I would have went.
Yeah.
I would have went just to watch
Earthbound.
Earthbound.
Great. It was just this
Did the music go with it?
No.
There were a couple times where it was unintentional, I'm sure, but like he would sing something like "Going to the Corner," and like the guy would be like, it was unintentional. Yeah. I believe that fully, but like it just fit though. Like the kind of like it was very kind of like tremolo-y, kind of like very chill, kind of spacey kind of thing. Yeah. And it fit really well with the
Earthbound
gameplay.
Is that kind of game.
I want to get to that eventually.
Now, I liked Undertale, and it looks like Undertale at points. So
Earthbound
kind of
was really inspired by
if you love Undertale,
Yeah.
Earthbound is what Undertale is, but just a little classic.
Well, here's the thing. I talked about this earlier. I have to talk about this game. Resident Evil 4. Guys, you're not big Resident Evil guys, are you?
No.
Not really.
I have never played one. Resident Evil 4 it is definitely my top 5 favorite games I've ever played.
Yeah.
Like,
I hear that a lot.
immediately,
I'm not surprised by that.
It immediately, and I went in even kind of like, okay, a lot of people say this game's great. It immediately leapfrogged so many other games. I put it up there with Demon Souls. I put it up there with my favorites of Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. I put it up there with Ocarina of Time. Resident Evil 4 is the most perfectly paced action game maybe that I've ever played. Yeah. It is a game that when you turn it on, as soon as you get the ball rolling, meaning you get through the very first kind of section, you immediately, it's like this thing that is just pulling you along, and you just continually, you get addicted to the sounds of the way the menus sound. You get addicted to managing the inventory. You get addicted.
There's so they hypnotize you.
Yeah. It is kind of like a hypnotizing thing where like you get into it, and it's like you move through these scenarios, and you make progress so quickly, and you're just into cool boss fight after cool boss fight, into cool area. Great like music in the save area. There's this great merchant that's like, what are you buying? And you just get pulled along. And the gameplay, it is perfect stealth, like not stealth, but like survival horror, in that it can be intense. And there are things occasionally that startle you, but it is not scary. And that was the biggest thing that I didn't expect, was I thought it would be scary. It's not a scary game. It is a goofy Japanese action game. Yeah. And you'll be like moving through. There's a point where like you're going through like a castle, and there's like a midget who keeps calling you on like this codec, and he's like, "I'm gonna get you, Leon," and it's just like goofy. Like he would call you, and you'd have long conversations. That reminded me of Metal Gear Solid. And there is a companion that you're like for about a third of the game off and on that you're trying to help, and you're trying to save her, and she is helpful. Normally when you're doing escort missions, it's like a big mess. And this girl is not a mess. She's helpful. If you need her to come to you, you just tell her. She runs to you. She can hold her own when you're fighting people. It reminded me, honestly, of Ico in a lot of ways, in that you're in these big areas that kind of like connect into each other. And you're with this girl, and you're trying to get her through, and there's people that are trying to grab her and take her away. And all I can say is, this has given me such an interest to play the other Resident Evil games, although I feel like 4 is nothing like any of the other Resident Evil games, so I kind of feel like
5's
maybe...
similar. You might like 5.
And that was the thing, is I've heard 5 is really similar from a gameplay perspective, but it's kind of more just fun to play co-op than single player. So I purchased Resident Evil 5 for me and Jake here, because it was $3 on sale for us to play co-op. But I cannot say enough good things about that game. Just the reload animations and the headshots, and it just took so many things that I love about so many other games, and it kind of condensed them into one.
I remember when that came out in 04, 05.
04, yeah.
04. I remember, like, it was weird at the time, because they were like, hey, that's GameCube only.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the... this is a kid's console. You know what I mean? It was always geared as a kid's console, and that came out. Crazy.
So, I gotta say... I urge you to play it. I think you will.
It's
really,
on my list of things.
Here's the thing. Yes, the very beginning of that game, there was like a chainsaw guy that like
that's what scared me away when I first started.
What that does is it sets the tone as far as an intensity.
Yeah.
But you very quickly get your feet under you to where you know how to manage situations. And I urge anyone to play that game. I think that is put it in a museum, Shadow of the Colossus level kind of game.
Man.
I think it's amazing. I loved it so much. So I played Resident Evil 4 and loved it.
Awesome.
I also played Doom 2016, which is a game. I played some multiplayer. I played the first level a while back. That game was awesome. I really, really, really loved that campaign. It's one of the rare games that as soon as I finished it, I just started it back over again and wanted to try to get the collectibles. And I made it about a third of the way back through the game on a harder difficulty. I think that game, we've all heard, it's very action, it doesn't waste your time with story, yada, yada, yada. I think the one thing that I really, really, really appreciated about that game is that all of the weapons were useful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in first-person shooters, you've got all these different weapons. You only use a couple. You hoard your ammo. I really just let loose in Doom. I didn't hoard my ammo. I tried to do everything. I tried to expend all my ammo because the game was very good about giving it back to you. And I would enter these arenas, and I felt like I was on a multiplayer map.
Yeah.
And that was the thing that really hooked me was, in a lot of games, when you go through levels, especially first-person shooters, it's like couple hallways, or like you're up and you're shooting down at people on the street through windows. In this game, it was like a playground. Like you would enter a new area and you just see like gravity things that launch you up in the air, and you see like and I played that game like I was playing a set of multiplayer matches, and had a blast with it. So Doom 2016 was great. And the last game that I started up this month is me and my girlfriend got Stardew Valley on the Switch, which Stardew Valley is one of those games where it's kind of like an Animal Crossing type, you get a farm, and it was one of those games that always looked fun to me, but it didn't look like something I would buy on my PC and sit at my PC and play. But to me, I was like, Switch, handheld, that makes perfect sense. And
it did.
Yeah, after putting about 5 hours into it, my girlfriend has actually really taken to it and run with it to where I come and play now, and she's like, I went to the dance and I met this person.
That's cool.
Here's the thing about Stardew Valley. It takes me back to those old Game Boy Advance games where it simulates real life, where you go to sleep and there's a calendar and everybody's on a schedule.
Yeah.
I'm really a big fan of what that game is, and I don't know that I'm going to really get the chance to really dive into it. But it's like a set of seasons, and you're growing your crop, and it's this really nice balance of you can mine things, you can build up your farm.
It's
you
relaxing.
Can get involved in the social aspects, but it's just relaxing. And I really see the appeal to that game, and I think that it feels like a real tangible place with real NPCs. When I open up the list of NPCs, when I first started playing, I was thinking, oh, there's probably 10 people in this town. Yeah. It's boom, the guy that runs the museum, and the guy that lives down by the lake, and the girl that runs the aerobics class, and dude, just tons of people, but they all have really distinct faces, and they all immediately when you talk to them, there's the girl that has an attitude, and she's goth looking, and there's the guy that's shy, and he's just trying to keep his little store afloat, and they're married, and people have kids.
Is there fighting in that game? Because I watched a little, when I was downloading footage for this episode or whatever, I saw something where they're hitting somebody with a sword, and I was like, I didn't know there was fighting.
Basically, we played that game for about 5 hours, and then we got a quest that was hey, go mining. So we were like, okay, there's a mine up here. So we went down in this mine, and we start mining, and we're hitting the rocks, and then it was cool. We hit a rock, and it revealed a ladder, so we're like, okay, we'll go down here. And then, these monsters started coming out. And then we found a sword, and this guy's like, you need to use this sword on these monsters. So it became almost like a 2D Zelda, where you're swinging your sword.
Cool.
And so it's one of those games where, whatever you're into, you can kind of get into it. And there's a strong enough economy to where you can kind of make some money and progress that way. There are a couple little things. The UI is clunky. Yeah. And I don't know if that's a Switch problem or if that's, if it's an awkward transfer from the PC over. Yeah. My girlfriend inadvertently canceled out 3 quests in a row, and that game, once you cancel a quest, it's gone. You're not getting it back. So there was a lady who had lost her axe, and we were exploring. We found her axe, and then we tried to give it to her, but she had accidentally canceled out the quest, and we just have this axe now that we can't sell, so we could throw it in the trash or leave it in our inventory. So
now, is there an end to this game, or you just keep playing?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm assuming there probably is an end. The thing that I've only scraped the surface is they do a great job as far as what keeps you engaged. There's like a calendar. So when you go into the town square, there's a calendar, and it puts like people's birthdays on there. Yeah. So like every week there'll be two or three different people's birthdays, so you can try and get them gifts and give them to them, and that way you can get quests. But it's like the game of never-ending rabbit holes. Yeah. To where like you give this person a birthday gift because that was something you wanted to do, and then they're like, hey, here's this abandoned community center. You should go in there and like kill the animals that are like the mean monsters that are in there. But then you kill the mean monsters, and it's like, hey, we should paint these walls. And then like, but so it seems like it's like the never-ending set of rabbit holes of like, boom, there's a can of worms, boom. But not like it's work, but like it's more to do. I think that there is kind of like an arc for the town because. It kind of reminds me of Twin Peaks in a way of like there's all these really unique little characters and there's a bar that everybody hangs out at and socializes. Yeah. It reminds me of Majora's Mask in a way in that everybody has their own set of things that they're doing. But I think that there's an overarching story because the big backdrop is your grandfather left you this farm as like a, hey, when you get tired of modern life, this will be waiting for you. It's like, that's how the game starts, is your grandfather tells you, when you're tired of modern life, this will be waiting for you. So then that's the first scene. And the second scene is it's like at a generic office, like typing away. Yeah. And like, it's just going down the rows of office workers and like your character like looks down and opens a drawer and it's the thing that he gave you. And you open it up and it's a key to a farm at Stardew Valley. So that's how the game starts, is you arrive on this farm, and it feels like the pilot of an episode because your farm is like a mess. Yeah. Like there are weeds and rocks everywhere, and everybody in the town is like, cool. Everybody in the town is like clued into all these like, there's a fall festival on Thursday.
The ending is like he picks one last weed and he's like, screw this. And he goes back to the cubicle.
But how they immediately hook you is you arrive in this town where it's like it feels completely removed from modern life, but this giant thing called Jaja Mart, which in the city you worked for Jaja Mart, there is a Jaja Mart being built on the edge of the town. So that's kind of like the setup is like there's this town that is completely removed from regular life, but you move here and at the same time this new mart is being built there.
You never get
there's actually an owner of there's a manager of that mart who writes letters, and so I think it's going to be kind of this weird, like, interesting statement on like
final boss is Jaja himself.
Yeah,
Jaja Binks,
and they kind of are playing with the gray area. So I think that there's going to be kind of an arc for the town itself, and within that will be all of these individual arcs of the individual characters. So it's a game that I feel like you can kind of pick it up, and it's not one that you pick it up and you binge it and you beat it. I think it's more of a comfort game that you kind of go back to.
Yeah, it looked that way too.
So I have pretty high opinions of it. I'm looking forward to playing it some more, but that's it for me.
Well, thank you for watching the DweeBros podcast. Join us next month, and then we have a. I don't know what happened just there.
Nacho approves of you guys viewing this podcast.
And this is going to be 2 months away, but just mark this on your calendars. It's going to be a huge freaking podcast. End of the year. Our Christmas/end of the year podcast.
Awards, Christmas.
It's going to be, hey, the Game Awards? People. You know how Jeff Keighley almost married Kojima? We're going to get like some marriage stuff maybe involved. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be nuts.
Are you...
and then...
go on.
I was going to say, follow the Twitter. We'll be back next month.
Twitter. And live stream Sunday.
Live streams on Sunday. And check our stream just recently from the Paris conference. That should be up on YouTube already.
But my question is, are you still hungover? Can you give us a dance?
Yeah, can you do the crash dance?
Can you do it?
Nice crash dance.
Oh, you're crashed.
That's basically
He's still drunk. He never got finished.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And come back